The reluctant envoy. The crystalline halls of the Kelaran diplomatic corps hummed with a subdued energy that belied the tension of the moment. Zara Velen stood motionless, her iridescent skin shifting between hues of deep blue and muted silver, a telltale sign of her internal conflict. The holographic display before her flickered with images of Earth's sprawling cities, resource extraction sites, and planetary development zones. "You cannot be serious." Zara's voice cut through the silence, a mixture of disbelief and barely contained frustration. Elder Ronak, her senior diplomatic advisor, remained impassive. His weathered form was a stark contrast to Zora's youthful intensity. "The High Council has made its decision," he stated flatly. "You are the most qualified xenobiological diplomat we have. Your expertise in human behavioral patterns makes you the ideal candidate." The irony was not lost on Zara. She had spent years studying human civilization, their complex social structures, their destructive tendencies, and their remarkable capacity for both innovation and devastation. Her extensive research had only reinforced her deep-seated reservations about humanity's expansionist ambitions. The current mission was delicate. The Kelaran system, rich in rare quantum-reactive minerals, had become a prime target for human resource extraction. Previous negotiations had ended in disaster, with human corporations pushing aggressive expansion plans that threatened the delicate ecological balance of multiple planetary systems. "I've read every report," Zara began, her fingers tracing the holographic data. "Their track record speaks for itself. Wherever humans establish a presence, indigenous ecosystems collapse. The Centauri colonies, the Orion mining settlements, they leave nothing but destruction in their wake." Elder Ronek's expression softened slightly. He understood Zora's perspective better than most. Her generation had grown up in the aftermath of humanity's most aggressive expansion period, witnessing the ecological and cultural devastation left behind by human colonization efforts. "This is not about personal feelings," he reminded her. "The survival of our civilization depends on finding a sustainable way to coexist. The minerals beneath our planetary surface are the only thing preventing an economic collapse that would destroy everything we've built." Zara knew he was right, but the knowledge did little to calm her racing thoughts. The upcoming negotiations would determine the fate of millions, not just of her own people, but potentially of entire planetary systems. Her communication implant buzzed, an incoming transmission from the Earth Diplomatic Consortium. The holographic interface materialized, displaying a human representative. Dr. Marcus Reven, a seasoned negotiator with a reputation for finding unconventional solutions. Diplomat Velan. His image spoke. "We look forward to our upcoming discussions. I believe there's a path forward that can benefit both our civilizations." His words rang hollow to Zora. She had heard such platitudes before, each time preceding another systematic exploitation of resources and cultural boundaries. As she prepared for her departure, Zara packed more than just diplomatic credentials. She carried with her the collective hopes and fears of an entire civilization, a burden that weighed far more than any technological equipment or strategic documents. The quantum shuttle waited, its sleek design a testament to Kelaran engineering. As Zara stepped aboard, she cast one final look at the home she might be negotiating away. The stakes had never been higher. Little did she know that this mission would challenge everything she believed about humanity, about diplomacy, and about the very nature of interstellar cooperation. Echoes of resistance. The quantum shuttle glided through the star-speckled void, its advanced shielding humming softly as Zara reviewed historical archives. Each holographic projection told a story of human expansion, a narrative of conquest masked as progress. 50 years earlier, the first human exploration vessels had discovered the Kelaran system. What began as a scientific expedition quickly transformed into a resource extraction campaign. The initial contact had been devastating. Indigenous Kelaran communities were displaced, their delicate atmospheric ecosystems disrupted by aggressive mining operations. Zara's grandmother, Lyra Velen, had been a lead environmental diplomat during those initial encounters. Her personal logs, now carefully preserved in the diplomatic archives, painted a harrowing picture of systematic destruction. They do not see living systems, one entry read. To humans, a planet is a resource to be consumed, not a living entity to be respected. The memories were more than historical records to Zora. They were personal wounds passed down through generations. Her family had been at the forefront of resistance, fighting against human corporate interests that viewed planetary ecosystems as nothing more than potential profit margins. A notification interrupted her research. Her closest colleague and confidant, Nexus Krell, was attempting a communication link. His holographic form materialized, tall with skin that shifted in mesmerizing geometric patterns typical of Kilaran communication specialists. "You're carrying the weight of our entire history," Nexus observed, his voice carrying a mix of concern and sardonic humor. "I can see the tension in your chromatic shifts." Zara allowed herself a slight smile. Kilaran's skin was notoriously expressive, changing colors and patterns based on emotional states. Right now, her exterior was a complex tapestry of blues and grays, indicating deep anxiety and strategic contemplation. "The humans believe this is just another negotiation," she responded. "They don't understand that for us. This is about survival. Not just economic survival, but cultural and ecological preservation." Nexus pulled up additional research data. Recent satellite observations revealed expanding human settlement zones near critical Kilaran planetary reserves. Each settlement represented a potential ecological threat, introducing foreign microorganisms, disrupting delicate atmospheric balances, and consuming resources at an unsustainable rate. The Earth Diplomatic Consortium claims they've developed new sustainable technologies, Nexus said, his tone dripping with skepticism. "But we've heard such promises before." Their conversation was interrupted by the shuttle's navigation system. They were approaching the neutral diplomatic station, where the negotiations would take place. A massive construct positioned in an asteroid belt, deliberately located in international space to ensure impartiality. As the shuttle docked, Zara felt the weight of her civilization's expectations. She was not just a diplomat. She was a guardian, a protector of a delicate ecosystem that had taken millennia to develop. The station's interior was a marvel of interstellar design, a neutral ground where different species could meet without the inherent power dynamics of planetary territories. Holographic displays showcased diplomatic protocols from hundreds of different civilizations, a testament to the complexity of interstellar communication. Her first meeting was scheduled with Dr. Marcus Revan, the human representative who had earlier transmitted a message of potential cooperation. Zara knew that behind his diplomatic smile would lie layers of strategic intent. As she prepared to enter the negotiation chamber, Nexus's final words echoed in her communication implant. "Remember, they see resources. We see life." The doors to the diplomatic chamber slid open, revealing a space that would determine the fate of entire worlds. The unexpected encounter. The diplomatic chamber was a masterpiece of neutral design, its walls constructed from translucent materials that seemed to shift and adapt, mimicking the complex negotiations that would unfold within. Zara entered with measured steps, her Kilaran diplomatic attire a subtle blend of technological fabric and traditional ceremonial patterns. Dr. Marcus Raven stood near a holographic display of planetary systems, his posture relaxed yet alert. Unlike many human diplomats Zora had encountered, he didn't immediately project an aura of aggressive conquests. Instead, there was a contemplative quality to his presence. "Diplomat Velan," he greeted her, his voice calm and measured. "I appreciate the opportunity for direct dialogue." The first hour of negotiations was a carefully choreographed dance of diplomatic language. Each statement was a calculated move, each pause a strategic consideration. Zara presented comprehensive data about the ecological impact of previous human settlements. Holographic projections illustrated the devastating consequences. Entire ecosystems collapsed, native species driven to near extinction, atmospheric compositions irreparably altered. Revan listened intently, his fingers occasionally tracing data points on the holographic interface. Most human representatives would have interrupted, would have launched into defensive explanations. But he remained silent, absorbing the information. These are not just statistics, Zora emphasized, her skin shifting to a deep, intense blue that signaled passionate discourse. These are living systems. Each disruption represents generations of complex biological interactions. To her surprise, Revan nodded. "You're correct," he admitted. "Our historical approach to planetary colonization has been fundamentally flawed." The unexpected encounter. The diplomatic chamber was a masterpiece of neutral design, its walls constructed from translucent materials that seemed to shift and adapt, mimicking the complex negotiations that would unfold within. Zara entered with measured steps, her Kylaran diplomatic attire a subtle blend of technological fabric and traditional ceremonial patterns. Dr. Marcus Raven stood near a holographic display of planetary systems, his posture relaxed yet alert. Unlike many human diplomats Zora had encountered, he didn't immediately project an aura of aggressive conquests. Instead, there was a contemplative quality to his presence. "Diplomat Velan," he greeted her, his voice calm and measured. "I appreciate the opportunity for direct dialogue." The first hour of negotiations was a carefully choreographed dance of diplomatic language. Each statement was a calculated move, each pause a strategic consideration. Zora presented comprehensive data about the ecological impact of previous human settlements. Holographic projections illustrated the devastating consequences. Entire ecosystems collapsed, native species driven to near extinction, atmospheric compositions irreparably altered. Raven listened intently, his fingers occasionally tracing data points on the holographic interface. Most human representatives would have interrupted, would have launched into defensive explanations, but he remained silent, absorbing the information. "These are not just statistics," Zara emphasized, her skin shifting to a deep, intense blue that signaled passionate discourse. "These are living systems. Each disruption represents generations of complex biological interactions." To her surprise, Raven nodded. "You're correct," he admitted. "Our historical approach to planetary colonization has been fundamentally flawed." The unexpected agreement caught Zara off guard. Her chromatic patterns flickered, momentarily revealing confusion. A rapid dance of blues and silvery grays. Crossroads of civilization. The diplomatic station buzzed with an electric anticipation that transcended traditional negotiation protocols. What had begun as a potentially contentious meeting had evolved into something far more complex, a genuine exploration of mutual understanding. Zara requested access to additional research materials, a move that surprised both her Kylaran support team and the human delegation. Dr. Revan had presented data that challenged everything she thought she knew about human approaches to planetary exploration. A confidential database revealed a series of internal Earth governmental reports that had never been made public. These documents exposed the true extent of humanity's environmental reckoning, a near-total collapse of their planetary ecosystem that had forced a radical reimagining of their relationship with planetary resources. "The restoration protocols of 2089 were our turning point," Revan explained during a private consultation. He pulled up images of massive ecological reconstruction projects, entire regions transformed from industrial wastelands to thriving biodiverse landscapes. Zara discovered something unexpected: vulnerability. The human civilization she had long viewed as ruthless conquerors was actually a species fighting for its own survival, desperately seeking a path to sustainable coexistence. The negotiation chambers became a crucible of cultural exchange. Representatives from various Kylaran scientific councils joined the discussions, bringing specialized knowledge about ecological preservation. Human environmental engineers presented revolutionary technologies that could potentially heal damaged planetary ecosystems. One particularly compelling presentation focused on quantum adaptive terraforming techniques. Instead of imposing human systems onto alien environments, These technologies would work in symbiosis with existing ecological networks, essentially learning and adapting to the unique characteristics of each planetary system. "We're not looking to extract," explained Dr. Elena Rodriguez, a lead environmental architect. "We're looking to integrate." The statement was revolutionary. It represented a fundamental shift from the exploitative models Zora had witnessed in historical records. Yet challenges remained. Deep-seated mistrust ran through both civilizations. The Kalaran diplomatic corps remained skeptical, their historical trauma not easily overcome. Similarly, human corporate interests continued to exert pressure, seeing the Kalaran system as a potential resource frontier. Zara found herself in an unexpected position, becoming a bridge between two civilizations. Her extensive research and personal experiences made her uniquely qualified to navigate the complex emotional and strategic landscape. A critical moment arrived during a closed-session strategy meeting. A proposed collaborative research initiative would allow joint teams to study the Kalaran system's unique quantum-reactive mineral deposits. The potential benefits were extraordinary, not just economic, but scientific. "This isn't just about minerals," Zora argued to her Kalaran advisors. "This is about reimagining our entire approach to interstellar cooperation." Her chromatic patterns revealed an internal struggle, bands of determined green intermingling with cautious blues. She was walking the diplomatic tightrope, challenging generations of defensive thinking. The negotiation had become more than a trade discussion. It was a potential blueprint for how different civilizations could approach mutual understanding. As the day's discussions concluded, Zara received a classified communication from her mentor, Elder Ronak. His message was cryptic, but loaded with significance. "The path between survival and transformation is rarely straight. Your adaptability will be our greatest strength." The diplomatic station continued its silent orbit, a neutral witness to a potentially historic moment of interstellar diplomacy. Transformation and hope. The final day of negotiations arrived with a tension that vibrated through the diplomatic station's molecular structure. What had begun as a potentially confrontational meeting had transformed into something unprecedented, a genuine opportunity for mutual understanding between two vastly different civilizations. Zara stood before the combined diplomatic councils, Kalaran representatives in their shimmering, adaptive ceremonial attire, human delegates dressed in sustainable biofabrics that told their own story of technological evolution. The moment felt charged with possibility. The proposed agreement was revolutionary. Instead of a traditional resource extraction treaty, they had crafted a comprehensive ecological partnership. Joint research stations would be established, with equal representation from both civilizations. The Kalaran system's unique quantum-reactive minerals would be studied collaboratively, with strict protocols ensuring minimal ecological disruption. Dr. Marcus Revan presented the final draft, his voice steady. "This is not just a treaty," he explained. "This is a commitment to a new way of existing in the universe." The core principles were radical. Complete transparency in all research activities. Shared technological developments. Mutual ecological preservation protocols. A joint oversight committee with equal representation. Rigorous environmental impact assessments for every proposed initiative. Zara's role had evolved from a skeptical diplomat to a primary architect of this new paradigm. Her extensive research, her deep understanding of both the scientific and cultural complexities, had been instrumental in bridging seemingly insurmountable differences. During the final signing ceremony, an unexpected moment of profound connection occurred. As the quantum-encoded treaty materialized, holographic projections displayed the potential future they were creating. Restored planetary ecosystems, collaborative scientific breakthroughs, a model of interstellar cooperation that challenged everything previously understood about first contact. Elder Ronak, watching remotely, sent a private communication. "You have done more than negotiate a treaty," his message read. "You have reimagined our future." The implications extended far beyond the Kalaran system. Other civilizations would be watching. This treaty could become a template for how different species could approach mutual understanding. not through conquest, but through genuine collaboration. As the final signatures were encoded, Zara felt a profound shift. The historical narrative of conflict was being rewritten. Humanity was no longer seen as a destructive force, but as a potential partner in cosmic preservation. Dr. Revan approached her after the ceremony. "We're not just signing a treaty," he said quietly. "We're taking the first steps towards a truly cooperative galactic community." Zara's skin reflected her emotions, a complex tapestry of hope, determination, and cautious optimism. Bands of vibrant green intermingled with deep blues, a visual representation of the transformation that had just occurred. The diplomatic station continued its silent orbit, now a symbol of something greater than any single civilization. It represented the possibility of understanding, of growth, of seeing beyond historical conflicts. As her shuttle prepared for departure, Zora looked back at the station. The universe seemed to have expanded, not in physical distance, but in potential. They had done more than negotiate a treaty. They had planted the seeds of a new kind of cosmic relationship. The journey home was filled with possibility.